The winter promise. The snow fell in thick, silent curtains over the city streets. Each flake drifted down slowly, covering the sidewalks in a blanket of white that muffled every sound. The afternoon light was fading fast, turning the sky a deep shade of gray that matched the winter cold settling into everyone's bones. At the corner of 5th and Maple, there was a bus stop. Just a simple wooden bench under a small shelter, nothing special. But on this particular evening, it held someone who had nowhere else to go. Sarah Mitchell sat on that bench with her arms wrapped tight around herself. She was 26 years old, though she felt much older today. Her blonde hair hung loose around her face, damp from the snow. She wore a beige winter coat that she'd bought 3 years ago, back when things were different. Back when she had a home to go to, the coat wasn't quite warm enough anymore. The zipper was broken, and there was a tear in the left pocket where her bus pass used to live. But that didn't matter now. She didn't have a bus pass anymore. She didn't have much of anything. Sarah's breath came out in small white clouds. She watched them disappear into the cold air, one after another. Behind her, through the frosted window of a coffee shop, she could see people laughing and talking. They held steaming cups between their hands. They had somewhere to be when they finished their drinks. They had homes with warm beds and people who cared if they came back or not. She looked away. It had been 3 weeks since she'd lost her apartment. The rent had gone up, and her hours at the diner had been cut. She'd tried to explain to her landlord, tried to ask for just a little more time, but he'd already found someone else who could pay. Someone who wasn't always scrambling to make ends meet. After that, everything had fallen apart quickly. She'd stayed with a friend for a few days, but that friend had problems of her own. Then she'd tried a shelter, but it was full. They were always full in winter. She'd spent the last week moving from place to place, trying to stay warm, trying to figure out what came next. Tonight, she had nothing left. No plan, no energy, no hope. Just this bench and the falling snow. Sarah closed her eyes and tried to remember warmth. She tried to remember what it felt like to be safe. That's when she heard the small voice. "Excuse me?" Sarah opened her eyes. Standing in front of her was a little girl, maybe 5 or 6 years old. She wore a pink puffy coat and a gray knit hat with a pom-pom on top. Her mittens matched her hat, and her small face was red from the cold. Big brown eyes looked up at Sarah with something like concern. "Are you okay?" the girl asked softly. Sarah tried to smile, but her face felt frozen. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Where's your mom?" The girl pointed down the street. "She's coming." She stopped to help that man with his bags. She paused, then stepped a little closer. "You look really cold." "I am a little cold," Sarah admitted. There was no point in lying to a child. Children could always tell. The girl frowned, thinking hard about something. She unzipped her coat and pulled out a pair of hand warmers, the kind you shake to activate. "Here," she said, holding them out. "My mom always packs extra. She says you never know when someone might need them." Sarah stared at the small packets. Such a simple thing. Such a small gesture. But tears suddenly burned in her eyes. "I can't take those," she whispered. "Those are yours." "I have more at home," the girl said matter-of-factly. "Lots more. My mom buys them in big boxes." She pressed them into Sarah's gloved hands. "Take them, please." Sarah's fingers closed around the warmers. They were already starting to heat up. "Thank you," she managed to say. "What's your name?" "Emma," the girl said. She sat down on the bench next to Sarah, swinging her little legs. "What's yours?" "Sarah. That's a pretty name." Emma was quiet for a moment, watching the snow fall. Then she said something that made Sarah's heart stop. "Can you be my mommy?" Sarah turned to look at her. "What?" Emma's face was serious now, thoughtful. "I mean, not my real mommy. I have a mommy already, and she's really nice. But maybe you could be someone else's mommy, because you look like you need someone to take care of, and I think that would make you feel better." Out of the mouths of children, Sarah thought. This little girl had seen right through her, straight to the emptiness inside. "It's not that simple, honey," Sarah said gently. "Being a mommy takes more than just wanting to be one." "But why are you here all alone?" Emma asked. "Don't you have a home?" Before Sarah could answer, a woman's voice called out, Emma, Emma, where did you go? A woman in a dark coat hurried up to the bus stop carrying several shopping bags. She had the same blonde hair as Sarah, though hers was pulled back in a neat ponytail. Her face showed relief when she saw Emma, then concern when she noticed Sarah. "I'm sorry," the woman said to Sarah. "I hope she wasn't bothering you." "Emma, I told you to stay where I could see you." "She wasn't bothering me," Sarah said quickly. She was very kind. The woman, whose name Sarah would soon learn was Jennifer Walsh, looked at her daughter, then at Sarah, then at the hand warmers Sarah was holding. Understanding crossed her face. "Emma," Jennifer said softly, "did you give away your hand warmers again?" "She needed them more than me," Emma said simply. Jennifer set down her bags and knelt in front of Sarah. Her eyes were kind, but they also saw everything. The worn coat, the small backpack that held everything Sarah owned, the way Sarah was shivering despite trying to hide it. "When's the last time you ate something warm?" Jennifer asked quietly. Sarah opened her mouth to say she was fine, that she didn't need anything, but the words wouldn't come. She was so tired of pretending, so tired of being strong. "I don't remember," she whispered. Jennifer stood up and made a decision. "Come with us." "What?" "Come with us. There's a restaurant 2 blocks from here. We'll get you some hot food, and we can talk." "I can't," Sarah said automatically. "I don't have any money." "I didn't ask if you had money," Jennifer said firmly. "I asked you to come with us." Emma's right. Nobody should be alone in the cold like this. Sarah looked at Emma, who was nodding encouragingly. She looked at Jennifer, whose hand was extended, waiting. She thought about refusing. She'd gotten used to refusing help, to not being a burden, but she was so cold and so tired. And maybe, just maybe, this was what giving up looked like. Not the end of everything, but the beginning of accepting that she couldn't do this alone anymore. "Okay," Sarah said, taking Jennifer's hand. "Okay." The restaurant was warm and bright. They sat in a corner booth, and Jennifer ordered soup and sandwiches for all of them. As the food arrived, they talked. Sarah found herself telling her story, and Jennifer listened without judgment. She didn't offer empty platitudes or easy solutions. She just listened. "I work for a nonprofit," Jennifer said when Sarah had finished. "We help people find housing and employment. It's not magic, and it takes time, but it works. I can make some calls tomorrow if you'd like." "Why are you doing this?" Sarah asked. "You don't even know me," Jennifer smiled. "Because Emma reminded me of something important tonight. We're all just 1 or 2 bad breaks away from where you are, and because I hope that if I was ever sitting on that bench, someone would do the same for me." Emma, who had been drawing on a napkin, looked up. "See, I told you could be a mommy someday. But first, you have to let people help you." Sarah felt tears slip down her cheeks, but this time they were different. Not tears of despair, but tears of something she'd almost forgotten. "Hope. Thank you," she whispered to both of them. "Thank you for seeing me." Outside, the snow continued to fall, covering the city in white. But inside the warm restaurant, Sarah Mitchell took her first steps toward building a new life. It would be a long journey, with setbacks and struggles still to come, but she wouldn't take those steps alone. Sometimes salvation comes in the smallest packages. Sometimes it comes in the form of a child with hand warmers and a question that changes everything. And sometimes when we've given up on ourselves, someone else refuses to give up on us. That's what happened at the bus stop that winter evening. A shivering girl who had nothing met a child who saw everything. And in that moment, in that simple act of kindness between strangers, the world became a little bit warmer for everyone.